Hi, Jane.
Hello, Stacey. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Yes, yeah. Keeping busy in spite of all this lockdown.
Very good. Glad to hear it. Okay, we've got 3 questions again this week.
Right. Good.
First question is from Lorraine Whitaker, who says, my cob and retired trotter are on Lucy Stalks and Simple Balance Plus, both good doers. Is this okay for them? One drives, one's retired and doesn't need any energy.
Right. Sounds perfect. She's on a very good balanced diet for good doers. So yeah, go for it. You've got it spot on there. Yeah, perfect.
Thanks, Jane. And the next question is from Kimberly Ollerton Lewis, who says, I recently contacted the feed line and was recommended Build and Shine for my footy, but also fussy barefoot warm blood. I've read that Lucerne can cause inflammation, so a little worried about this. Can you expand further, please, whether I should be worried?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of confusion with Lucerne, but no, I don't think you should be worried. When information comes to us from the United States of America, they use Lucerne, they call it alfalfa, in a very different way to what we do. It's grown primarily for fattening cattle under irrigation, and it's harvested about up to 9 times a year. So it's at a much younger stage of growth. So it's got much higher nutritional values. And because they're using it for fattening cattle, they'll use varieties that are much higher in sugar than the ones that we would use. Also, most of the alfalfa in America is what's called Roundup Ready, which means it's genetically modified, that they can put herbicide on it without killing it, but they can kill off anything else that's growing there. So on those counts, it is all very different. We also got to bear in mind that most of America is on a level with the Mediterranean and North Africa. It's a lot further south than that, so a very, very different climate than that which we have in Northern Europe. So plants grow differently. So if you're in America and you've got a horse that's being fed on alfalfa, the chances are it's being fed a lot of it because it's freely available. And also grass in the southern states doesn't grow very well. So you can have too much of a good thing. And in fact there, if the horse gets a bit footy, they'll say take it off the alfalfa and put it on grass. We would say the opposite. So our Lucerne in Europe is grown much more specifically for horses. It's only harvested 3 times a year. It's much more mature when it's harvested. We use varieties that are naturally much lower in sugar. We wouldn't touch GM with a barge pole. And because we recognise you can have too much of a good thing, we would suggest that you don't feed more than 1% of the horse's ideal weight as Lucerne a day, or 40% of its total intake. So I would think she's fine. So particularly the barefoot community falls into 2 camps. Those whose information basically comes from the US, and those whose information basically comes from Europe. And the European ones think Lucerne is great, and the American ones think Lucerne is awful. Now, if you've been using the Lucerne and your horse is doing fine on it, let your horse tell you. But warm bloods do really well on Lucerne-based feeds. And the Build and Shine, with its light coating of fresh cold-pressed linseed oil, is actually anti-inflammatory, not pro-inflammatory. So I would say give it a go, watch your horse, let your horse tell you, but I would be fairly confident he'll be fine.
That's great advice. Thank you so much, Jane.
Good.
And our last question today is from Sue Winter, who asks, do you have any advice or help for dealing with mites?
Thank you, Sue. I've talked to Sue quite a lot over the years, and we've had some lovely chats on the phone. She hasn't brought that one up directly, so thanks for that, Sue. Mites are tiny little insects that bother horses with hairy legs. and they accumulate around the fetlock and pastern area under the long hair, cause the horses great irritation. They'll stamp and rub and get really annoyed with them, actually. But historically, it's always been a problem with the hairy horses and the feathered draft breeds. There is a genetic predisposition, and they were going to try and breed this out, but draft horses went out of use and tractors came in before the breeding program had got underway. So it is something that comes with the territory of hairy-heeled horses. And yeah, it can be difficult to tackle. On the whole, one wouldn't necessarily suggest that feeding will make any difference to this problem. But I think if linseed is included as part of a balanced diet, this will help to keep the grease in the coat a little bit lighter and to help keep the skin healthy, so that when you groom the horse, the dander and the grease and the dirt is much easier to groom out. And that means that it's less hospitable for the little mites to get in. But you may soon have to talk to your vet about insecticide treatment. Yeah, it comes with the territory. Keeping the legs clipped can help as well, because that takes away the little critters' hiding places. So, is that it?
That is it. Yes, that's all our questions today.
Oh, well, they were good questions and nice and varied. So I shall look forward to some more questions for next week then.
Thanks so much, Jane. Enjoy the rest of your day.
And you, Stacey. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.